Hi, I'm Ruth, and I'm originally an Essex girl. No, I don't want that as my intro. I don't know what else to say. Hi, I'm Ruth, and I'm a professional triathlete. That'll do. I've always got to get the coffee in. It's the most important part of training. This is going to be the start of my pro triathlon career. Thought I'd give you guys a bit of an insight into the transition from age group to pro. I guess some of the challenges, where it's different, some of the exciting bit, things like being able to walk down the pro queue. It's always pretty cool. I just thought I'd give people a bit of how life's changed and I've become pro. There's been a number of big changes recently in my life. First of all, with work, I'm going down to 1 day a week. So I think the main shift is going to be from doing sort of like 60-hour weeks down to like an 8-hour week. I made the decision that actually to have a bit of base income would be pretty helpful. We all know triathlon's a pretty expensive sport, and I wanted to not have like too much pressure on my first pro year. There's things like travel, accommodation, race entry to pay for. Generally just living cost. I thought if I keep 1 day a week, helps cover a bit of that, and also I'm someone who operates quite well under pressure and having to do a lot. So the thought of going to just training, I was a bit worried that that might be a bit much and it might take the fun away. Ultimately, I love triathlon because it's fun. I like racing, I like seeing where I can improve and how much better I'm getting. I was a bit worried that if I went straight into all my focus being on triathlon, that would take the fun away a little bit and make it a bit too pressured, especially if I had no income coming in from anywhere else. The thought of just drawing on savings was also a bit of a scary thought, so I chickened out of that a little bit. There are things you can do to stimulate your brain with training, but it's a bit different to having something that's a bit of a different focus. See how that works. It gives me the flexibility to kind of ramp up a little bit if I wanted a bit more, or say I get injured for a bit and I'm going to be out for like 2-3 months, then I can kind of go back and do more work and again take my mind off the fact that I can't train as much. The other thing then, a few people will have noticed the name change on social media. I'm actually currently separating from my husband, so that's also another big life change. Still kind of working out exactly what that's going to look like in terms of where I live and where I train. Quite a few big changes going on. See how that all plays out. Generally speaking, there's lots of different opportunities for next year and we'll kind of see what happens. I raced my first pro race in Western Australia. I sort of thought it'd be good to ride off my cone of fitness. I still felt quite good when I came back. I also came back to the English winter and thought a bit more sunshine would be quite nice. I've spoken to quite a few people that have made that transition, so I knew that there was going to be like slightly different swim dynamic, a few different challenges generally with the race. Definitely it was a bit different. Lining up on the beach with all these women that I've followed for like the last 2-3 years, who are all incredible, and actually standing on the start line with them rather than 20 metres behind them was pretty cool. One thing I definitely need to practice is the running from that start line into the water and practicing my dives in. Definitely panicked a little bit on that, not my finest start. Swim dynamic, definitely quite different. Actually, I managed to hang on to the group probably for about 1 kilometre or so, and then I'm not entirely sure what happened because I should have had a slightly better swim. Lost the group and then spent the rest of the swim completely on my own, which is quite different. I'm used to being around groups of men, women, generally other age groupers, so actually having most of that swim completely solo was very demoralising. Most of the swim actually trying to talk to myself in my head, say it's not a disaster and I'm on a really long day, just keep going, I'm sure you're not losing that much time, which is quite hard when you can't even see the people in front of you. I was a bit of a muppet and I put the wrong tyre on my disc wheel, which I didn't realise because I hadn't really been running my tyres at very high pressure. So when I pumped them up on race morning, they were down at about 50 psi, so I pumped them up to 80, and it then meant when I tried to come out of T1, my back tyre was jammed on my hydration system. So I nearly wiped out in front of the whole crowd, which was also very embarrassing. Then it just meant my wheel was completely jammed, had to let a load of air out, and it was then still rubbing for quite a lot of the bike. So I spent a lot of the bike kind of slightly frustrated, but kind of got into it. Then it was really fun. And that course in Western Australia is great actually, because it's got lots of out and back, so you can kind of see where everyone else is. I then got 2 punctures. The first puncture was fine, managed to fix it, got back on. Second puncture obviously had no gas, so I spent the last 15k on the rim of my wheel. So I was like, it's only 15k, I'll be able to get back, but I made it quite sketchy and obviously couldn't go that fast. The run actually, like the first 2 laps, brilliant. I felt really good. I kind of thought after everything else that happened in the race, let's just go out, let's see if I can still try and get the marathon PB that I've been aiming for. First 2 laps, brilliant, all to plan, pace was really good, felt really good. Third lap, I've had this like real slight post-Kona knee niggle that had kind of gone away and I thought it was fine, and then it just flared up again, so I had to sort of stop, stretch it out, walk a bit. Thought at many points on that third lap I was going to have to pull out, and just thought there's absolutely no way that I can live with myself if I pull out and DNF my first pro race. Managed to finish. Overall, obviously not the pro debut that I wanted, but learned a lot. It was good to get that first experience done, I think quite close to being an age grouper, because it meant the pressure was off, and it's given me lots of things to think about for next year in terms of how I can race, the things that I need to work on, obviously the swim. It makes me kind of more excited about next year actually. There's quite a good contingent of Brits out there, so there's like Sophie Barb, Katrina Matthews and Kim Morrison. All 3 of them I actually know reasonably from triathlon, so we'd all kind of met up a little bit before the race, had coffee, and they'd all been very friendly, very supportive. It was Sophie's first pro race as well at Ironman. I actually don't think the dynamic was that different to what it is with the age groupers. People are very supportive, people were really friendly. I did a Wits Up breakfast with Sarah Pampiano and Teresa Adam, and both of them were giving me lots of tips. My first pro race, both on the start line, came off, good luck, hope you enjoy it. And I think again it's still it's very friendly on the start line. Obviously there's a few nerves hanging around, and when people actually get racing you can tell that people are in race mode, but generally speaking triathlon seems to be a really supportive sport and people are very willing to give out advice and tips. World of being a pro triathlete. I don't think anyone's naive enough now to think, oh, I'm going to turn pro and then sponsors are going to ring me up and offer me stuff. That obviously doesn't happen. You even look at some of the top 10 at Kona and they're not really making any money. Probably one of the things that made it potentially a slightly harder decision to go pro, I actually probably could get a lot more sponsorship through being a top age grouper than from being what I'm now going to be, which is a very average, well, hopefully average, slash better than average, but hopefully to start with average, pro. Being on the Zwift team this year, I've got some quite good contacts that I've been able to talk to. I've got a few people that sponsored me before, so like people like Precision Hydration, they've kind of always been there for me. They're still keen to support me. I'm going to be working with Orca on kind of like my wetsuit, swim kit and race kit. I used their stuff when I was on free speed, and like really great stuff. I'm going to be getting all my nutrition from KOM Fuels. It's similar to Precision Hydration in that it's way more personalised. Most people that have done a bit of triathlon, you probably realise what works for some person is not necessarily going to work for someone else. I'm going to work with them to get all my nutrition. I'm still looking at a few other companies, trying to get a bit more support with the bike, trying to get help with generally bike kit, which is very expensive. If I can get a few good results and hopefully put out some good bike splits early next year, that will help. It's really tough out there. You've got to try and prove what is it that you can give that company, which is quite hard when you haven't really done many races. You don't really know how good you are, especially in this new world of like social media-ness. There's lots of people who are very good on social media who can probably give something completely different to what I can give. Generally just trying to go out and sell yourself. Not something that I'm particularly comfortable doing. Finding myself in a lovely cafe, drinking tea and getting grilled.